carried. Call the Board of Trustees of Village of Weston to order. We could all stand for pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Let's see, roll call.
Here.
Arlen, Principal.
Present.
Maloney.
Present.
Wyland. Here. Madani.
Here. Okay, thank you. Any public comments? Anybody online? No?
Yeah, we have someone online, but I don't. You want to just ask one more time if there's public
Any
comments?
public comments? Anybody online or in person? Hearing none. Moving on to minutes from previous meetings. Number 4, approval of September 3rd, 2024 special board budget workshop meeting. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Zagami.
Second.
Second by Cronin. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Unfinished business. Review and discussion of 2025 budget. General fund revenues and expenditures, benefits, renewal update, and review all other funds except utilities. Beginning of the
Yes.
we asked seriously?
Yes.
Okay, you asked for it. Okay. So this one ain't working now?
No, I'm hoping that this does work.
No, this
Oh,
that
that's
monitor is not working.
That
Oh,
monitors, yes.
So the sound goes and now that monitor is going?
We know what the issue is with the monitor. It just needs to get new cabling. So, but let's see if this works sound for everyone, and then I'll put back up the PowerPoint. But if there's a video that anyone would like to share after this one, please feel free to forward it. We've got a couple more meetings, but this was just one that I picked for tonight.
The Navy SEALs are one of the highest performing organizations on the planet. And a former Navy SEAL was asked, who makes it through BUDS? Who makes it through the selection process to become a SEAL? And he said, I can't tell you who gets through, who makes it, but I can tell you the kind of people who don't make it. He said the star college athletes that never have been really tested to the core of their being, none of them make it through. He said the preening leaders who like to delegate everything, none of them make it through. He said the big tough guys that come in with huge muscles covered in tattoos and want to prove to everyone how tough they are, none of them make it through. He said some of the guys that make it through are skinny and scrawny. He said some of the guys who make it through, you will see them shivering out of fear. He said, but every single one of them who makes it through, when they're emotionally exhausted, when they're physically exhausted, some way, somehow, they're able to dig down deep inside themselves to find the energy to help the person next to them. Service. Service. Giving to another, having their back, is what makes the highest performing teams in the world. Not their strength and not their intelligence. It's their willingness to be there for each other.
Like it. Good job. Go on, Mom. Maybe it's the other one, not happening. I wouldn't make it 30 minutes. All right, well, thank you for that.
Okay, now I have a little PowerPoint. I just have to find where that is on the screen. Someone's in waiting. Admit. So tonight we just wanted to go back over some pieces with the general fund. You will see in the packet that the general fund tonight is balanced. I don't know why I'm not seeing my PowerPoint. What happens if I do this? You've got the agenda, but not the PowerPoint. And it's open. I feel like IT is headed this way, subsequent and fill in IT for the moment. It's headed this way. Wait, here.
Keep that raise up to
Show. It's just user error.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just user error. There we go.
Not yet. That's later.
Okay. So, did our little pep talk, gonna do an update on general revenues and expenditures, the update tonight from finance and HR and wage and benefits. Public safety budgets update both for Safer and for Mountain Bay Metro, both of the chiefs are here, and then all other funds except utilities. We're gonna escalate our calendar just a little bit and hopefully cover all other funds except utilities tonight. We can bring it back if there's questions, but there isn't a lot of changes there. So first, just update on general revenues and expenditures. It is balanced at this moment. We are still waiting on final figures on health insurance. We did get a preliminary number from Spectrum, but they are going to work through a couple items to hopefully bring that number down.
From 11.
No,
30.
yeah,
What?
30.
Oh, there you go.
They know why that number is at 30, and they're gonna try and work through that
30% or no? 30%.
30%. So again, they know why it's at that number, and they have a plan on how to try to bring it down.
There's a couple different options, and we did have Corey look into if just Safer and the Village Weston went off. We were at 100%. You want to be closer to 70% of utilization. We're at 100, so just having Safer and the Village go and spec out really wouldn't be an option. So we're hoping what the magic Corey is gonna work is gonna come, so it's gonna be back to 10. That's our hope. Otherwise, we may be looking at the affordable care going out on the quote-unquote market.
Leaving the co-op.
Well, it's everyone. I mean, your automobile, your home, everything. I questioned my agent and she just said everybody is. Even we got raised. I go, well, it doesn't matter, you know, so.
30%, where does that even come? Why?
Yeah, well, we went at 42% at home. And I just said, that's just not gonna happen.
Again, Spectrum is, so if this seems vague, it's because it's healthcare, right? And but they have identified why it's at that 30, and they are working to try and mitigate that 30, but it's an identified reason of why. So, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's identified, it's a co-op, right? It's more than just us and Safer, and so, but they are gonna work through it. And I'm not familiar with that process, with the agency process, as far as, you know, they set a number. We had some indication that whatever number they said, there's still negotiation room, like that's not the number. So there's gonna be a little back and forth here as we try to get down to what that bottom number is.
And there's no way we can know where some of these other groups are going that are inside this co-op, right?
All the other groups inside the co-op would have the same as us.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if 75% left to another group, because we're independent of her, she can move us somewhere else. So if she moves 75% to one area, I mean, she doesn't have to tell us the company's names, but she can tell us where a majority are leaving or where she's putting them.
I think everyone's just in a hold
Okay.
status right now, seeing if what she has planned is going to.
Right? Any questions?
So-
Is there no option to work with Rothschild or any of our other municipalities that work with those guys?
So some of the other municipalities like Rib Mountain are also in the co-op. And my understanding is they can't get out. When there's a certain time frame when you enter the co-op that you have to stay in the co-op. And so some in the co-op will have to accept whatever that increase are.
They got invaded.
But we aren't in that same position where we could be mobile, but we want to see if they can work it out, because obviously that's a big cost increase for all of them in the co-op.
So,
So, yeah, but we are balanced minus that number. There is, and I have a future slide here, but there is 11% of that. If it would be 30, there's 11 of that already put into the budget, but we hope for better news.
to clarify this number, right, 11% is 74,882,
Mhm.
right? So 30% is 225,000?
Mhm.
Okay, just making sure we're working with real numbers here.
Mhm.
We're just really not sure about an extra $150,000 where they're coming from, maybe. Okay, carry on.
I also don't want to. I've been through this process with health insurance before. Like it goes through this process. I'm not saying that we're gonna end up at 10 or 11, but it's every year we go through the same, it starts out high and we try and work through it and we might have to make a change.
I sometimes feel like, you get put up against the wall right at the last minute. And then you have to make a quick decision and you can't look at it. And I just feel it's so unfair that happens. So,
Well,
But
we
it- but
used
it's
to
true.
be, so we used to have where we started our plan year in like November. And then we got our numbers like
Ahead of time, yeah.
September. But when we joined the co-op was calendar year.
And outside of these last couple of years, my understanding is the co-op's been good
Very
for us.
nice.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Percent.
I'm just, is there a reason that we can't know why this number went up 30%?
We-
Or what company what is that reason?
HIPAA. I mean, it would be very easy to identify it to a person.
But as an elected official, I think we should have the right to know
No,
what company
no, you won't.
what company we're using.
No, now that's different on the company. You're asking why it went up. So why it went up, and if HIPAA's the reason, it means that a percentage of individuals out of all these companies maybe all got a terrible, very high expensive disease.
The company paid out more than
Okay.
they
Yep.
did in
Yep,
previous.
so now,
Okay.
and that's what they're looking at in the future, and this is why the rate's here, and it's identified, but it's a HIPAA thing, and you can't know.
So you can't know who or what was
Right.
used, but know that the expenditures from the plan exceeded the premium dollars, so the premium dollar need to increase in order to offset that cost.
There's some that do know, I mean, like in our company, our HR director does know. But she can't, there's absolutely no way that she can talk about
Fair enough.
that. All right,
So outside of that, general is balanced. We did have modifications to the public safety budgets. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But one thing I wanted to bring up, because it will move to Mountain Bay Metro, is the Humane Society contract. So the contract for animal impoundment services will move to Mountain Bay Metro. We had the 18.5. We'll still have the 3. It'll be 2026 when we would see our credits back. That would come back from this year's contract, but that contract will move to Mountain Bay Metro, and then all 4 of the municipalities will be covered. Right now, Rothschild has an agreement and Weston has an agreement, but Schofield and the town do not. So this way, everyone that's represented by the police department, no matter where they would find the animal, could go to the Humane Society. So then just on wage and benefits, the placeholders are there on the one side. We have the 3% into the village pay plan. Again, that's no budget impact. That's our minimum and midpoint and maximum. Compensation increases at 3%, 15% reserve for market and merit. And then the health plan, we have the 11% increase. The recommendation from finance tonight was outside of the health plan, because there was no recommendation made there, was to accept these, the 3% increase in the pay plan. Again, no budget impact, but just keeps our pay plan along with CPI and with market. The compensation 3% with satisfactory performance evaluation on file, and the 15 in reserve for merit and market. Those were 3 recommendations from finance and HR to the board this evening. Mountain Bay Metro, this is a draft budget. This is going to be presented on Wednesday for the oversight board to make a recommendation back to the municipalities. It does reflect a slight reduction since the placeholder number that was in our first budget workshop meeting. I have the number up there, the 3.4, and their total budget 6.6. And it does include a $175,000 placeholder in CIP for building. with the land that was purchased here in the village. I don't know if you wanna share anything more on that. It'll go to the Mountain Bay Metro Board on Wednesday and you'll see back a confirmed number. That's why I've just got it highlighted draft at this moment.
Talk to me.
I was talking to Chief.
Well, Melanie went through the numbers and we really sat down and met with Jamie on these numbers, and we feel pretty confident that we're in really good shape on our budget. And we need 1 year behind us, like we talked last meeting. But at least Weston's percentage has not increased as much, so we have up to 2.67% versus that 5% that initially was in there. So, and Rothschild stayed just a little bit higher than it should have, but our side of it felt really comfortable just leaving it here through 1 year here and see what it's at. The unknown on it's the municipal court and some of the other revenues that have come in. So one thing I thought I should mention here, since we're talking about fees, is we still do fingerprints at the PD. Anybody comes in here, make sure you send them our way. We get $50 in card on those. And those do help out. Those are our monthly revenues that do add up, and other places aren't doing it. I know it sounds like a lot, but nobody's doing it, so we do it on a whim. But you know, we renegotiated that Humane Society contract, and I haven't got paperwork on it yet, but they went for $20,000 on that, which was really good. So, but then Schofield and Town included that. So there's a lot of good cooperation working in this community right now on things, so I feel really good about that. So just let's give it a year and see where we go. The goal is to keep those increases low, so we'll see what comes up.
With the draft budget presented to, we did move $100,000 into CIP in our budget process. So I know we talked last time that the total increase was reflected in the general budget, but that we were gonna move some to capital because there are capital expenditures within Mountain Bay's department and within the budget, and that was $100,000 that was moved over. Safer budget, a draft's been presented to the board, but there hasn't been formal action taken, not at this point yet. Kind of already discussed the health insurance because Safer is also part of the co-op, but total draft budget there is the 3.7. Total levy request would be just more than 2 million. The Village of Weston's portion of that is the 66.3% at the 1.3. And there'd be some, if the math doesn't come out quite there is some reduction in that number with using $75,000 of capital improvement revenues when items are sold. And then I also just noted on the slide that still working through the fire and police merger discussion, and our next meeting is next week, the 26th at 4 p.m. Chief Finke, did you wanna?
Police or fire, you mean fire?
I'm sorry, did I say
Fire merger.
fire
You said
merger?
police and fire.
Sorry,
So just
fire and
yeah.
EMS.
Yeah, I had
Sorry.
a good talk with Mayor Craig this morning. And I shared it with Ryan, I'm pretty sure you probably shared it with you. So we're moving forward on that too, but you.
The only thing I had to add.
Three of us have to meet.
Oh, okay,
Just-
just tell me when.
I know.
The only thing I have to add is we do have 2 budgets that'll go to our, board of directors. We do have a brief board of directors meeting scheduled for the 23rd. We will not discuss budget at that meeting. And then we'll have our normal board meeting, the second Tuesday in, October. But I have 2 budgets that I'll present at that. One of them is the one that's in front of you. The other one would only result in about a $55,000 increase for the Village of Weston. So we'll present both of those to our board and see.
So then all other funds except utilities, utilities would come back next meeting, but refuge and recycling, there is a cost increase for 2025, and I just put the 2024 to 2025 up there on the screen. We do have a fund balance in that fund, and so we would be utilizing that fund balance with the cost increase in 2025, so no increase to customers. Aquatic,
Contract they have.
nope, one more year,
So
One more year.
26.
26. So we will renegotiate that contract next year. I can say, because we've had the conversation between municipalities, our prices there are very advantageous.
Ours right now.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, we need to stay with that 7-year contract. Nobody can touch those prices.
Aquatic Center continues to use $40,000 of levy and $40,000 of room tax. There is no admission price increase proposed at this moment for 2025. We talked about that with the fee schedule at finance and HR. There isn't one in there at this moment. If there's something that we want to further consider, we certainly can. At this moment, it's not proposed as part of the budget, and it does have that $80,000 assistance from levy and room tax. TIF 1 divides the expense for Weston Avenue, since that construction from Camp Phillips to Ryan is divided in between 2 years. So it looks a little odd, is a strong word, because it was all for this year, but it'll get divided into those 2 years. We are estimating gross room tax to be 540,000. Again, then that would be the 70-30 split. That's the gross number to bring in. Jessica has awesome charts on the several last years of room tax to estimate out what that might be coming in for the next year. So all of the special revenue funds, with the exception of utilities, they're balanced. They're mostly unchanged from 2024. So if necessary, there's in your packet, there's copies of all of them. If necessary, we can bring any of them back that we wanted to look at further, but we would consider those mostly completed at this point until they would come back on October 21st for the final review, unless there are big items or things that anyone would want to address in those special revenue funds.
And those room tax dollars include the real small portions of Expedia, VRBO, and all those, right? Okay. Because we have some history of that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think they can renegotiate that contract with them,
With which one?
waste management.
No, not now. We don't want to.
No, even after next year.
Okay.
We have to bid it out because.
Oh, we're gonna bid it out.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
It's
Yeah.
more than 25,000.
Yeah, they're gonna go, it'll be a monster increase,
Yes.
monster. Yeah, we need to bid it out.
That was all for presentation for tonight.
Oh, okay. Any questions? Anybody?
Any concerns with any of this?
Did we have the police and police department budget? I didn't see it.
You do not have it, not in the packet, no, because it hasn't been approved yet by them. That would come back Wednesday. They take it to their board for approval to bring back to the municipality. So we have a draft, but not a final.
Can we have it for next meeting? The draft, not the final.
Yes, I would think we would have, because they meet on Wednesday. Yep.
Yeah, the last time we were talking about it, it was at 5.6 or 5.8 something. And in our contract, I think it said not to exceed 3, but it's now at a 2.67. So 2.67. Okay.
And that's the major topic, I would assume, for the agenda on Wednesday's budget. Yep.
Yeah, we have a couple topics, so that's good.
Is that this Wednesday?
Yep.
Oh,
At 4.
I said the same thing about the.
All right. No further questions? Hearing none? No remarks from me, any remarks from,
Oh,
We got new business here.
new business.
oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, you do. All right, new business, number 6, discussion and or action on update to the 2025 village 8-grid 8 plan.
I would just note that the recommendation from finance and HR was to accept the 3% in the pay grid or pay plan. Again, that's not a budget impact, that just moves the pay plan so it stays relevant. And there is a copy in the packet of what that 3% looks like.
And I know the committee approved the 3% across the board, but we would, if someone was not performing, we would have an avenue to work with that, with an employee that's not performing.
Yes, they would, yeah.
Yes.
This is just for the 8-grid.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, yeah, pay grid, yep, okay, so number 7. Oh, okay, so discussion or action on, the update of the pay grid
Make a motion to approve.
by Cronin,
Second.
second by Zagami. So the motion on the floor is to, accept the 2025 village pay grid / pay plan. Motion by Cronin, second by Zagami. Any further discussion?
To accept it as a 3% increase over 2024.
Just to clarify, my motion would be to approve as presented.
Any more? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 7, discussion and or action on 2025 staff compensation increases. So I will explain that.
There
We
is,
just did a 3% grid increase.
yes,
Does not affect any units.
correct.
Now, this number 7 does affect the actual staff, all humans, 3%, correct?
3%.
Okay.
First full payroll in January, so it wouldn't be January 1, but first full payroll in January with a current and satisfactory performance evaluation on file, having been with the village for the majority of the year.
What's your pleasure? What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Zagami. Looking for a second?
I'll second to put it on the
Second by
floor.
Cronin. On the discussion.
So, go ahead, you have your hand up.
Yeah,
Okay, so I talked about this some in finance and HR, and industry professionals. I'm not an HR industry professional, but they like the idea of performance-based increases. But that's tricky and yeah, said it, but you have to be extremely careful with that, so you're being very equitable to everyone, and it's not. Joe and Susie both had 4s on their review, and so Joe got their raise, but Susie didn't. The number that's reflected here, this $72,680, does not include the $15,000 merit. I understand that's number 8, but I just want to make everyone aware that the budget impact to this is not a $75,000, it's a $90,000 budget impact. Both of these are approved as presented.
And
Is that true?
that is,
I thought it was 7560. It's 7590. So, okay. I just
75,000
Plus
15,000 to 90. Okay, I just misunderstood.
and the 3%, that's what is reflected in the general fund. That's not all funds.
So it's actually more of an impact than $75,000.
With the 15.
Correct, it's actually more than 90 then, because some is gonna come out of utility, and some's gonna come out of tip 1, and some's gonna come out of tip 2, and some's gonna come out of, so that's only 75 in general. So it actually costs us more than that.
So that everyone understands this, we're talking 3%, skip the dollars. The 3% increase is what we're talking.
To everyone.
Yes, okay.
Yep.
So, and I'll just, real quick here, and I didn't want to elongate the meeting. So we do a 3%, we might do a 4, we might do a 2. But, whatever that limit is, whatever, if it's a 2 for the year, or 3 or 4 for the year, then the 3, and then there's a 2 and a 1. And so that's what we have, but not, if you don't give a 3, the 2s and the 1s or a 0 has to go to HR to see if you've got the documentation and see if you've got the right reasons why that person is not gonna get it. Then where's the performance plan? Where's all the different things that have to happen? I don't know if we're ready for that. I don't think we are. And that's a lot to take on for directors and administrator and to get that quick without having an official HR person here that's gonna go through all that documentation. So I thought what finance and HR did was the right thing, 3% across the board. So that's just my thought. You two had your hands up.
So I just, that 15,000 is no guarantee, and he's not gonna go to everybody.
Right.
So
But it
we
will
can't
guarantee
combine
getting
it.
spent.
It's
Not
not
always.
going to everybody.
Not always.
Historically, that question was asked,
And it does. Yeah.
it was all spent, it will all be spent.
All is spent, but that doesn't mean it's gonna go to everybody.
No, it won't go to everybody. It goes to a select few.
Right.
And that's, you've gotta be really careful why those people are getting it. It's really, if it's a bonus, it's one thing, but if you're gonna do a $500 merit increase for somebody and that stays on their payroll, that's a big deal.
It is.
And you have to warrant that. Yep, I agree. But those are
So
two different
we
issues.
shouldn't
Yeah.
combine, we should keep
Yeah,
them
separate.
separate.
Yep, so number 7 is where we are right now. We're still on the 3%. Yep. Any questions?
My only just was for Jessica, with the 3% increase, is our budget still balanced as of right
Yeah, that's
now?
included.
Yeah,
That's included?
it's-
Okay,
Any more questions?
Just one more comment on that. There was a survey that was requested by the Finance and HR Committee to all the employees. I think there was 33-ish that responded to that survey of your entire compensation package, right? So you have health benefits and life insurance and all this other jazz to include your wage, right? Is the cost of the employee, right, in the budget. If there were $100 to give for increases, would you like all $100 to be on your wage, knowing that your insurance will also cost more? And the answer was 60% of those 60 or 66%, I don't have it in front of me. 65% supported a wage only increase, and wanted to absorb the all the health insurance increase. So
But HR and finance's vote tonight was to approve the 3% to the board. Yep.
correct.
Okay, I just wanna make sure.
I'm just looking at the budgetary side, so we didn't get into the budgetary thing. I was told to save that for after 6 o'clock. So here we are. But the impact then on both, so it's potentially a $300,000 increase in health insurance and wage.
We're not talking about health insurance.
We're only talking about compensation
No, we're only talking about wage compensation.
I get where
We're
he's
not-
going with this
I know
though.
that, but we're not talking about that.
Well,
We can't even
it's the whole
decide that right now.
package.
We
It's
can't
the whole
decide that
package.
right now. We're talking, number 7 directly applies to the 3% wages. That's it.
That's a motion.
Yep. And could the health insurance be 30 or 10? Yep, it could be. And then we'll have to cross that bridge as we get there. But right now, number 7 is a 3% increase on wage across the board. There is no 1, no 2, nothing, it's 3.
How imperative is it that this gets approved tonight? Or can it wait?
We have a meeting next week, so. we
Yeah.
can wait.
You can wait till Monday, and maybe we know more about health insurance if there's a comfort level with that.
Oh, so you're thinking you'd rather nail down the health first?
Yeah,
If
maybe.
you have an extra $150,000 we gotta come up with for health insurance, we already have $150,000 shortfall for.
I think that'd be prudent. Yeah, I do. If it's
So-
not gonna affect or cause a whole bunch of anxiety on that side, I think it'd be
I'd like
prudent
to-
find out.
I'll withdraw my second to the motion.
Shane, it's up to you.
Well, why do you wanna wait? I'm sorry.
See what the health insurance looks like before we approve a wage increase.
These are two separate issues.
And I will second Shane's motion, so we can vote on it.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to vote on an increase of 3% across the board for all staff.
That is recommended to
Yep,
the
and
board.
it's recommended by the Finance and HR Committee, correct? Okay, so that's on the table with no more further discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Bowman,
No,
Pincinel,
No,
Maloney,
Yes,
Wyland. No. Dummy,
Yes,
so the motion fails 3-2. Am I saying that right? Okay,
so
so, and we will have that on the agenda on the next budget with that too.
do I need to make a motion to table it till?
No, I
No,
think
no,
just having the
okay.
conversation is
Okay.
sufficient.
So number 8, discussion and or action on 2025 merit market reserve. Now, this is on the $15,000. That will be at whose discretion? Administrator?
The department heads would have to after the completed evaluation, fill out a separate merit or market form with justification. Those are presented to the administrator and then they're presented to HR and brought to the board.
So that was discussed and approved at the finance HR meeting. Okay. So what's your question?
I move to defer action on 2025 merit market reserve topic until the next budget workshop.
I'll second.
Second by Cronin, so we have a motion by Pincinel and a second by Cronin. Any more on the discussion?
Reason for deferring is the same
To
as the
defer,
last one.
same, yep. Any more on discussion? I do have something I wanted to interject here, and I just wanted to seed it. So we have no issue talking about staff every year, we have no issue about talking about everything every year. But there's one item that never gets talked about, ever. Well, it got brought up last year, or this year, by one trustee, and then a few of us talked about it. But we never talk about the board, and we never talk about committees and commissions, ever. Never gets brought up by staff, and maybe it shouldn't be by the board. But, with that $15,000, I am gonna propose a 10% increase, for the trustee, for all 7 trustees, and a $10 increase on committees and commissions. And the total payout for the year of that would be approximately $3,000 for the committees and commissions and $8,100 for the trustees. And, you know, there's always some vacancies. It wouldn't take an effect until April of next year. You gotta go through the election. I'm just throwing it out there as a seed. That's all it is. It's not on the agenda. We can't talk about it. But, I think it needs to be addressed at some point. I've done a little bit of research and I've asked that we do the research and I've not seen it. But the town of Maine gets $18,000 for the town chairman. Schofield gets $14,000, $13,000 for the town of Weston. I'm not sure what Rothschild gets, but it's just incredible how none of these wages are shared. I'm not saying at all that the president or the trustees should get that, because the trustees here get paid the most out of any municipality I've found. But, you know, if you want good trustees, maybe you gotta do a little bit more money. I don't know if that'll be enough, and I have found some places that have stipends too for excess meetings. And I think maybe I should drive that one and do the research on that, because it's public record. I don't know if you can demand it, but I've written some very nice emails to some communities and they've shared their stuff. So the town of Maine chairman gets a little over $60,000 total, because she also is the administrator, public works, and the town chair. So anyway, just as a seed, and I've got other ideas, but that's like that. So right now we're deferring.
I did have in a previous packet from the League of Municipalities.
Yeah, that's junk.
Okay,
That's junk. I've gone down that road so many times. It doesn't give us the 20 municipalities right around us. And it's some legwork. You gotta make some calls, and you know, maybe that's something Rachel could do in a 3 or 4 week span, and you write a nice letter individually to each one, instead of, and share our wages with them first, so that they feel okay to share them back. So that's gonna give us a really good idea where we are. Maybe we're being paid perfect. I have no idea.
and it's something that can get added to the next agenda, but the other piece, just a reminder, it could only be for the trustees that run in spring for the adjustment. So it would not be it would not be all
It'll only
7.
be for 4. It'd be the president and the 3 trustees running. And, yep, and it start in April, and then the next round would be the next year when the next 3 run. Yep. Okay, so that's done. I thought we'd actually have that in the motions, but I could talk in discussion, so sorry.
Do we have to vote on deferral?
Yes, yeah, okay, yeah, so I cheated there a little bit. All those in favor of the deferral, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Didn't mean to step on your toes.
What?
Didn't mean to step on your toes.
No, it's fine. Thanks for reminding me. Remarks from staff?
I would just share a reminder that the trustee applications are due this Friday at noon. We do have 3 received. And I think it helps when I mention it at the end of the meeting, because a lot of people like to watch our meetings and then they go back and watch them on YouTube. So the other thing that I'll mention is that we still have an opening under the Finance and Human Resources Committee. So if there are residents out there that are watching that might have an interest in an appointment on Finance or Human Resources,
Right.
please reach out.
We'll be filling tourism tonight. All right, good. So that's remarks from staff. Any remarks from trustees? Negative?
Nope.
Negative. None from me. Out for future. September 23rd is, when is that timeline for that meeting? Same time?
It would be after Parks, so Parks is at 5 that
And
evening.
we have a 3. Oh, no, it's this Wednesday.
No, our board meeting is the same night, the 23rd at 4:00.
Yeah, okay, good. We'll be able to squeeze all in.
That meeting will be Safer's meeting will be in the greeting room. Cause of,
Oh, really?
yes,
Oh, cool. Yes, thank you. October 7th, utilities and debt service, and October 21st, circle back, love that phrase, the previously undecided items and finalization.
and again, we're just gonna slide that up. You're gonna see utilities next week with any return that we have from tonight.
All right, so future meetings, next meeting, dates Monday, September 23rd, 2024, at 5 p.m. Immediately following Parks.
And what time is the safer one, chief? 4? Okay.
Okay. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn?
By Pisnell, second by Wyland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. 6:50. Do we need time?